I was gonna say, what are you drinking? You're drinking the Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, absolutely. In
9 o'clock at night.
Fraudcast
In a Fraudcast mug, which you can see if you're watching this on YouTube because it's the first time we're on video. Woo-hoo!
Yay! This is what we look like.
Yeah. And you are drinking out of your new Fraudcast mug, available at thefraudcast.com. And you're drinking Diet Mountain Dew. Did you drink the cherry Dr. or Diet Coke thing?
Diet Dr. Pepper
Dr.
cherry.
Pepper Zero cherry.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I liked it.
That's a mouthful. Diet Dr. Pepper Zero Cherry.
Yeah, but it wasn't. That's like not really what it's called. It's just
it's like the non-virginated Dr. Pepper, something like that.
I don't know. But
it's Dr. Pepper Zero. You're sideways.
Is it sideways? God damn it.
It is. Did you just say it's sideways? Goddamn.
Yay.
Yes. Sorry.
You can swear. We have an explicit logo, so we're okay.
Is it crooked now, or is it?
No,
you are
straight.
straight.
I was going to say you're perfectly straight, but we know you're
never heard those words in my life.
Oh my God.
So, for those of you guys listening, we are covering today my 600-pound life. And we're only covering my 600-pound life on this episode. And the reason why is because we have a very special guest with us. And we have Wes with us from this week's episode of my 600-pound life.
Yay.
Hello.
Welcome.
I totally slid into his DMs.
You totally did. You totally did. So if you guys haven't seen it, my 600-pound life on TLC, the Learning Channel, this week did an episode with their new season. Their episode this week was with Wes, and we're covering the show anyway. And then Lexi slid into Wes's DMs, and then the rest is history. And now Wes is on my screen. So we're going to talk about the episode. We're going to talk with Wes. We're going to talk about his experience. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions. I have a bunch of listener questions for you, which you may or may not be able to answer, or you may or may not want to answer, and that's fine too. So we'll go ahead and get started, Lexi.
Yeah. So I wanted to start off by saying I love the show, and I went on Reddit because I wanted to see what people had to say about your episode. So I wanted to start off with some positivity because literally every single person on Reddit, which never happens in the history of Reddit, said great things about you, your dad, the episode. Everyone loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start off by reading a couple things just to get into it, because I screenshotted some stuff so you could feel the positivity and love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this one's funny. Wes is the most linguistically fluent 600-pound life cast member. Lots of expensive words in this episode. And then somebody commented, Lord, he dropped trepidatious on him. Okay.
Can I interject for one moment?
Absolutely.
It's your episode. You can talk, you can interject whatever you'd like.
So I did the thing that they say you're never supposed to do last night, which was go read the comments. And and I stumbled across the Reddit thread she's talking about. And yes, I read it from top to bottom. At that time, it more have been added since then. But it was hilarious.
Did you see the pillowcase one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, you have to read these for the audience because
wait, are you talking about the one that said first we had purse tacos, and then we had something else, and now we got couch, and now we got
pillowcase candy.
Pillowcase candy, and then someone replied to that and said, "Don't forget about couch meatloaf." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you telling me when I was 700 pounds I could have had meatloaf in my couch? I would have loved this."
And sandwiches in your folds of your fat.
Right.
Yes, of course.
Oh my.
Well, an anecdote about that. One time when I was bigger, I was taking a shower. I was cleaning myself, and I lifted up a fold of fat, and I heard ting, ting, ting. I was like, what the hell is that? And I looked down. I literally had quarters and dimes falling out from underneath my fat folds. It was insane.
You're making
Were
it
you
rain
literally
in the shower.
shitting out quarters?
Right. From my fat folds. And I have to apologize right now. I have a cat. He does not do well being put up. So he's walking around. So he might jump in the frame from time to time.
That's perfectly okay.
Okay.
Oh my
We are
gosh,
all
yes.
animal lovers here.
My mind is.
Okay, I'm so sorry to not.
No. This is your show.
Wait, you mentioned shower. Can we just start there? Let me just start there. Okay. Because
Okay.
every episode of My 600-Pound Life starts with the shower scene. It's one of our bingo squares on our bingo card. I did not win bingo this week. Natasha won. Surprise, surprise. Natasha always wins. But it took us a long time to get it because this episode was not full of the things the trash parts that we normally get. So yeah,
you kept it classy.
We didn't have anybody sitting on the floor of a van. We didn't, being transported to Houston. We didn't see stops at fast food on the way to Houston. We didn't see any holes in your clothing. I mean, there was so much that we didn't get. We didn't see a potty chair. We didn't even see a CPAP. And those we see everywhere. So the shower scene. One of my questions from the audience, from our listeners is, oh my God, how do you not just drop dead filming the shower scene?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Let's start there.
How do I not drop dead, or how does the film crew not drop dead?
Both, I guess.
Okay, so the film crew, I can't speak for them. I guess I would say that they are probably used to it by now. So it's just like another day for them. Kind of like I would liken it to, and this is going to be sad to say, but like a surgeon that, is doing a surgery and the patient dies, and you would think, oh my God, someone died on my table. Well, for the surgeon, they're probably like, okay, that's another day at the office, right? So I'm sure they probably,
yep.
Right. I'm sure they probably become used to it. Now, for me in general, I have to say that even at my heaviest, I was never a I hate my body kind of person. I was never embarrassed or ashamed of my body. I was ashamed. It's kind of hard to explain, but I was of two minds. I loved me, right? I had a lot of pain and turmoil. I'm a Gemini, so dual personalities, right? I had a lot of pain and turmoil growing up. And so on one hand, I did the work before I did the show, and I loved me, right? I had to come to terms with loving me. I had to love me to realize that I needed to do something to change. And so the first step was accepting yourself and loving yourself, and that's what I did. I love that. I already loved myself. I didn't like the shape of my body, but I loved my body, if that makes sense.
Yes, it absolutely does.
And so, this is, I don't know what religion people are on or are, but, this is the one body I'm going to get because I'm, Christian. So this is the one body I'm going to get. So I need to love the body I have. I can't spend the rest of my life hating the way I am. And so I've always loved my body. So in loving my body, I'm also someone that doesn't see anything obscene or I would say obscene or uncalled for to show off your body. I think bodies are beautiful. They were made to show off, right?
All shapes and sizes.
All shapes and sizes, rock it. You got it, you rock it. Even if you're working on getting rid of it, rock it while you're working on getting rid of it. And so I didn't have I would go swimming. I never had a problem taking my shirt off going swimming. I would change in the locker room. I never had a problem changing naked in front of the locker room. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to do this show. I'm going to commit. I'm a 100% kind of person. If I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to commit and see it through. And so I loved my body. And I wanted to show people, and this is one of the big reasons why I did the show. I wanted to show people that a fat person doesn't have to be something to be pitied. A fat person doesn't have to be something or someone to be ostracized. I was doing that to myself already. And I had reached a point when I decided to film the show that I was not in that mindset anymore. So I was working my way out of it. And so, full circle, to answer your question, I wanted to show people that a big body can still be beautiful.
I have so much respect for you because so many people, including myself, no matter what shape I'm in, have issues like body issues. And for you to be so confident and go on there and say, this is who I am. I give you all the credit in the world. And I think a lot of the viewers could sense that in you, that you had that confidence and just that determination to succeed. And it was just wonderful to watch. It really was.
Go ahead. There's a mantra that I like to live through. And it's, I don't know if I can quote this on the podcast or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'll give her all credit. the actress Monique. She was in that movie with, I think, Bringing Home Roscoe Jenkins or something with Martin Lawrence. And she played his sister. And one of her best lines, and it may have got cut into something the deleted scenes, was, "I'm cute in the face, but thick in the waist." And ever since I heard that, I was like, oh my God, like, I identify with that. Like, I know, not to sound confident or conceited or anything, I know that I have a handsome face. I was blessed.
You do. You look fantastic. And I apologize for not starting off this way. You look fantastic.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, from the episode and everything, but yes, you're.
Yeah. And so I was, so whenever I heard that, I identified with, I'm cute in the face, but thick in the waist. And, you know.
I love that. I love that. I love that your reason for getting on the show. And I think that whole thing, you answered several of the questions that I know I had. One was going to be, what was your motivation for going on the show?
Well, I had more of a motivation if you want to go into that.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
I also wanted to show people, so probably the biggest reason was, and I mentioned this in the show partly, you know, I came out at 13. First, let's first off by saying I was never in, to be honest. I never was given the luxury in life of being able to pass as a straight man. This is one of the lines I use. I stole it from Leslie Jordan, God rest his soul. I open my mouth and a purse falls out. Well, in my case, I open my mouth, a purse full of dicks falls out into a bigger basket of dicks. So,
I love it. Did not just say that.
Yes. And so, you know, and I'm very aware of this. I'm flamboyant. I'm effeminate. I am what you get with me, right? And so I never had the luxury of being able to pass. Everyone, as soon as somebody meets me, they know. Good or bad, they know. And so on the flip side of that, when I quote unquote came out at 13 to my parents, to my dad and him anyway, it was made very evident and clear to me that that was not acceptable. And so we started a period or a lifestyle of don't ask, don't tell, right? And
you know how well that policy worked out on a national level, but
yeah. And so I had become so comfortable in the don't ask, don't tell that I kept finding excuses because I am a procrastinator. I have ADHD. Procrastination is my biggest thing.
So do we.
All of us, all three of us do too.
and so I had kept finding excuses to procrastinate, not having that conversation with my dad, and thereby forcing me to live in the self-enclosed closet in regards to my family. And so when the show became an opportunity for me, I thought, you know what? I need to do this and talk about being gay on camera, because once I say it on camera and it gets out there, it ain't going back.
It's real, right? It's
there. You know, it can't be denied. And if it, you know, it is what it is. And so that's the biggest reason why I did it.
Interesting, because that's another, that leads right into actually another listener question that we have, which is, has he talked to his dad about his sexuality again? Does his dad accept him now? And the last one, where's his mom? And you can answer as much or as little of those questions as you would like.
So I will get to that in a second. Go back to the first question real quick. Another major reason why I did it was because I also talked about being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And they didn't, there were some things said that didn't make it onto the show that were much darker that happened to me as a result during that time period. And so I know that people maybe heard that I talked about it, but I don't think they got the severity of it. And I just want to say that it was about as bad as it can be in regards to that. It was mental, it was physical, it was emotional, it was verbal, it was all kinds of abuse. It was sexual, it was all kinds of abuse. So that being said, that trauma I carried around for a very long time, and I internalized it. I was so ashamed of what happened and repulsed by it, that a part of me, excuse me, a part of me was repulsed with myself because it happened to me, right?
Mhm.
And that's that dichotomy I talk about of love myself, but also repulsed.
Yeah.
And so, and there goes another one of those big words they talk about. But
expensive words, as our listeners
right?
call them.
And so I had, and again, I say prior to the show, I had started doing a lot of work on myself. And I had gotten to a place where I had to let go of that shame. And so I wanted other people that went through that experience that I experienced. I wanted them to know that you can come through it. It doesn't have to hold you back. You know, and this is what holding on to it looks like. This is what you look like inside. You know, this is what you do to yourself inside. And I wanted my episode to kind of be a gradual process for them to see that as you let go of that shame, you transform. You become something else. You get rid of that ugliness inside of you, that freak show that everyone sees it as, and you live your life. So that's the main reasons why I did the show.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure you've gotten a lot of messages already, just in, I'm sure, like the supportive messages. And I just find that, you know, as a gay child man now living in Texas, the abuse you endured, to see everything you just said, to hear everything you just said is really beautiful. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that. And, you know, it's funny. I get told all the time by other friends that I'm a huge gaming nerd. First and foremost, I'm a gamer. And
so is Hanakawa. Meet Wess. Wess, meet Hanakawa.
What's up?
We'll talk about gaming in a second. And so I have friends from all over the states, all over the world, all over the country, right? And a lot of them say, God, you know, you're 37. Why do you still live in a very small, conservative, rural town? Why don't you live where you can be free or something? And I say, I'm not letting those people dictate where I can live in my life. I have just as much right to live in this community and have my voice heard in this community and be myself in this community as anybody else does. And I will not let them run me out of it.
That is amazing. I have several friends, several very progressive friends that live in and around Houston, Austin area. And I asked them the same question, not on a what are you still doing in Texas, but just as on a, you know, intellectually curious level, like, what is it about Texas? And they have similar responses. Like one woman I know in Austin is she's actually a minister. And she's one of these, she wears like a rainbow cloth thing. You know, she's very, very, very progressive minister. And so she's like, these women and these people of color and these, you know, people in the LGBTQ community, they need me here. There are people here who need me. And that's why I'm here, you know, I can handle being around the crazies and the but, you know, they need me. So.
Right. Well, and I'm also a very political person, you know, and whether or not someone else says that's up to them, I know I am. I'm a very political person. I think politics are probably one of the most important things in our daily lives. You know, it affects and touches everything that we do. You know, it affects what we breathe. It affects what we eat. It affects what we drink. It affects what we wear. It affects us. And so, even before I was on national television, you know, or anything, I identified myself as an activist, right? In any small kind of capacity, I was doing something to fight back against those issues. And that's another reason why I still live in a very rural area, because it's almost like a political protest saying, no, I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it. So now your other question, I'm sorry.
The three-parter.
Yeah, remind me what your other question was again.
Okay, so the other question was, Have you talked to your dad about your sexuality again? And that went into, you kind of did
And
the
where-
show as a way to do this opening. So how those go together. Does your dad accept you now based on what we saw on the show? You guys have a good relationship. We'd love to hear more about that. And then the other one, if you feel comfortable talking about it, is where's your mother?
So my dad, I did come out to my dad. I don't want to say come out because that implies that I was not out. I had the conversation with my dad to let him know that this topic was going to be discussed on the show. And it went over much better than I expected. You probably always hope for the worst or expect the worst, hope for the best,
Right.
And so I just expected things to go south. And luckily they didn't. My dad is a man of a certain age from a certain part of the country. And so I don't know if he's accepted me being gay, but he's accepted me living my life as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to an interview that I did yesterday morning for the show, my dad and I have a relationship that's constantly evolving. Today, it's better than it was yesterday, and tomorrow it'll be better than it is today. I will commend my dad and say, even though he made it very clear that homosexuality was not allowable,
Mm-hmm.
even though he made it very clear that he didn't want that in his life, he also never forced me to be anything other than myself. He allowed me to be who I wanted to be, go where I wanted to go, and do what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. And you could tell in just watching the episode how much he loves you. I think that came across very strong. I felt that way, at least. I know a lot of people did. They said, look at, he may not agree, but he's there for his son. And you could just tell that he truly loves you.
Yes. He does.
He clearly was there for you and supportive of you. And you guys clearly had a mutually respectful relationship of each other, which seems, it's not something you see on the show very often. You see really terrible dynamics and things like that. And, there's often very much, the childhood trauma and things that are all related and tied up into that. And there was clearly, obviously, some of that as well. So to see you guys interacting in this mutually respectful way was really, like, your whole episode was a breath of fresh air. It was
refreshing. Yeah.
It was a really feel good episode. And not just because like you did well, but because you as a person, like your personality just comes off the screen, and it's doing it again now. And people, I think immediately, I know that was us as I group watched it with my girlfriends, that, we were all like, wait, we really like this guy. We like this. I hope he, the other shoe doesn't drop.
And I didn't tell Katrina I reached out to you until after you said yes. I was like, I just felt compelled to send you a message.
Lexi's always talking to people. I have no idea.
And you had very minimal followers. I'm like, I don't even know if this is the real account, but we'll see what happens. And so I'm glad I did, because you're awesome. You're amazing.
It's funny. I have other Instagram accounts, right? Because that's where we messaged. But I specifically created that page, and was starting to transition consolidate all my other pages onto that one. And so I specifically created that one for the show to hopefully, let's be honest, at the end of the day, the show's good. It gives a good message, but it's also a business.
Of course.
For sure.
Let's call the elephant in the room. It's also a business. Part of the reason why I did the show is I wanted to get a little bit of social media following. Maybe a lot, I wanted to do that. I was a theater major. I was a drama kid. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be on show business, so hopefully this might be my foot in the door to get something in that.
Well, that was going to be a question of mine too, the theater, but
the theater. I have a question. What play were you and your dad seeing?
So.
Was it Picasso?
I'm not sure exactly. And this is where I don't know if I can talk too much about this.
Okay.
But I will just say I will just say that I have very good friends. That's a community theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have very good friends on the board of that community theater. And when I called them to help me out, they made it happen.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Mhm.
Understood.
And so going back to the social media,
Mhm.
so when Katrina, I'm assuming when she saw it, it was, I think I maybe had 12 followers. I think
Oh,
that.
when Lexi,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm bad with names. Twitter face is bad with names.
It's all good.
But
good.
when Lexi reached out to me, I think I may have had 12 followers on that page. There weren't many. And most of them were probably my friends or family.
I dare to ask you how many you're at right now as we record this on
Let's see.
Thursday night,
let's
24
see.
hours after the show's aired.
Right. Let's see. Right
Knowing
now,
the fandom the way that I do.
so right now I have 223 notifications that I haven't looked at. And this is after I've been looking at notifications all day. So that's great. But my follower count right now is up to 687.
Nice.
All right. Well,
So
drop your handle right here. We're going to link it all, but you can tell us your handle right here.
well, so follow me on my Instagram is my 600 pound, and that's all one word, my 600 pound LB life, my 600 pound life, and then Wess, my name. So it's all one word, my 600 pound life Wess.
And there's 2 S's in your name.
And there's 2 S's in my name. And then my Facebook is Wess, WESS Schulze, SCHULZE. And same thing for my same thing for my Twitter.
Excellent. And we'll link that all down below and stuff too. So that's.
And
that's
I will also say, since we're talking about social media, and I told this to Lexi, I am developing, and with 2 other good friends of mine, a podcast of our own.
Awesome.
And it's going to be called Court of Queers.
Oh.
And it is going to be about LGBTQ lifestyle, things associated with that in the fetish community.
Oh, okay.
And any other topics that we feel like talking about.
That's super exciting.
Wait, Hannah, were you saying something?
About the fetish community? No.
Sorry, I hear
She wants
fetish
to.
community. I automatically go to
She
you.
gets
You're
she
my
gets all
expert.
excited. She's like, "Oh, fetishes! I heard you like that."
No, but then you educate me about them because you're like my expert, my fetish
I
expert.
try. I'm not in all corners of there's too many corners, but
Right.
and they're not all defined. But I know
Wait,
where
you
my
taught me
corners are.
was it rule 34? Is that what you taught? She tried to teach me that. So
I don't know what Rule 34 is. Can somebody tell me? Wes?
Just pick your favorite childhood cartoon and put Rule 34. You will find out very quickly.
Well, don't mind if I do.
Do it in
Scooby-Doo.
incognito. Do it in incognito mode, maybe.
But yeah, so that's all my social media stuff. Now, my mom is in my life. Unfortunately, right before the filming and during the filming, she ended up having to have a double lung transplant. Yeah. And so she's doing much better now.
Okay.
She's on the road to recovery. Every day she gets stronger. But she just wasn't, health comes first. And so that's what she is.
Okay. But you have a relationship with her now. So
I do. Yes, I do. And actually, since filming, I have moved. As you can see, this is not that god awful house I was living in. That tiny little, I shouldn't say god awful because it was very fortunate that I got to live there because it was affordable. And so at the time it served the needs it served. But I have moved from there.
I understand that completely. They're done that.
And you like my curtains? They're beautiful.
I do.
Pretty, yeah.
And so I now actually live across the street and 2 blocks down from my mom.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because they didn't, go into it too much, and I didn't know how much was editing or if you just didn't want to talk about it. So it's nice to know that you do have a relationship with her.
Yes. Good. And I will say, maybe this might touch on one of your other questions. So I'll let y'all take over since this is y'all show.
It's fine. I could just listen to you for hours, and I probably will.
Thank you.
the shower scene is always followed by an eating scene, and it's always like the scene has several purposes, right? You got to show how the person gets the food, if there's an enabler that brings it to them, how do they take care of themselves, things like that, right? It shows all those things. And your scene was no different. You were sitting there eating breakfast burritos, breakfast tostadas.
Breakfast tacos.
Oh, tacos.
Yeah.
Sorry. Breakfast tacos.
Hey, I'm part Mexican, and I'm from a very Mexican area, so they're tacos.
They're probably legit tacos too. We don't have those legit tacos in DC.
So fucking good.
Yeah, they were like, I think they were barbacoa, and they were chorizo and egg, and I think bean and egg or something. Yeah, they were good.
Oh, that chorizo and egg, man. Ooh, that's such a good combination. Yes. And those great tortillas. Anyway, so look good. You had this takeout container. You say you order from whatever, Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever, an app on your phone. You didn't specify. I mean, that wasn't takeout. That wasn't to go. That was catering, right? Like to be honest, right? That many things. Can you talk about that scene at all? Is there anything you want to share with us about that scene?
That was a normal breakfast. I mean, you don't get. At one point, I was 738 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't get to be 738 pounds by eating carrots and kale, right?
Right.
And I touched on it a little bit in the show, and you have to forgive me because it's been a very long time since I filmed, and then last year I had COVID, and since then I've gotten long COVID. It's turned to long COVID, and it affects my memory, so my short-term memory is not that good. I watched it yesterday, but everything was a blur. Anyway, where was I going? I got off topic. So breakfast tacos.
You
talking
got
about
to be
getting
738 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Which you carry very well. I mean, but like I was shocked because every time I see somebody that is 700 pounds, I mean, they can barely walk, and you're getting up, you're doing all your things,
bedridden, and
I was very fortunate that even at my biggest, I could be fairly independent. I could bathe myself, I could clean myself. Now, when I got up, I want to say when I surpassed 700, that's when I could no longer drive because I legitimately could not fit behind the wheel. I couldn't shut the door. So that's why my dad drove everywhere. I'm back to driving now. So yay.
Yay! That's fantastic.
Yay. So the tacos were, I had mentioned that I had an addiction to food. You can develop an addiction to anything.
Yes.
And
you're talking to an alcoholic, so yes.
Okay. So my addiction was food. And it had gotten to the point where I would eat so much that I would get a high off of it. I would assume it's like a high for heroin or anything else. And I would get such a high off of it that it would be like this euphoric feeling, and I would pass out from it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like if you've ever seen someone do any other recreational drug that does that, they get so high.
Yeah.
And that would happen to me. I would eat, get so high that I would fall asleep and sleep for an hour or two, get up, eat again, get so high, fall asleep. Cycle.
God, that sounds amazing. But again, you're talking to another addict. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about, we saw in the episode you talking to Dr. Paradise.
Oh, we're skipping ahead to therapy. Okay.
I
got all kinds of questions about this area. I love Dr. P.
Yeah. I mean, I love him from what I can see. But are you, if you don't mind me asking, are you continuing to do therapy to work on the addiction part, or?
I am in therapy. I'm in therapy, and I'm working on that. It is something that I will never be rid of. It's something that I learn to cope with. Right. Something that I have to learn to cope with. And I've done it. I'm doing it, hopefully, to toot my own horn, fairly well. But it is a struggle every day.
Yeah.
But backing up a little bit, you said at the beginning of the show, you said that you had done a lot of work already, to learn to love yourself prior to being on the show. Can I ask you, did you do therapy for that? If there, what you did to work on that to get you to the point that we saw on the show of you talking to Dr. Paradise?
So throughout the years, on and off throughout the years, I've been in and out of therapy. I would go for a little bit, and then my ADHD procrastination would kick in, and then I wouldn't go anymore. And then I'd be so embarrassed from that, I would find another doctor, go a little bit, cycle happens. Then I would, I worked in the oil and gas industry for many, many years. It's a very volatile industry.
Yeah.
I worked in bookkeeping and accounting, and I would work for an oil field company for 6 months to a year, and then they would go out of business. And then I'd be unemployed, finding the jobs. Then I wouldn't have insurance, and I couldn't have money. So, it was just it was like a whole amalgamation of things that just compounded to why I kept in and out of therapy. It wasn't until July of 2021 when I was in I got hospitalized for COVID. And I'd never been in the hospital before, never had surgery, never needed to go to the hospital. Again, very fortunate that I was that healthy. I mean, it was to the point where I would go to the doctors and they would run blood tests and they'd get the results back. And this is not for COVID, this is just my health in general. They would get the results back, and you could literally, every doctor, I'm not lying, every doctor I would see, you would literally see them, they would look at the results and they would get this puzzled look on their face and then look at me and then kept flipping through their things. And I eventually got to the point where I would say, yes, I know. I don't have high cholesterol. At that time, I didn't have high blood pressure. I'm not diabetic, healthy other than being overweight.
You didn't have the comorbid things.
Yeah. And so I just never had to worry about the doctor visits. Right. And so I got hospitalized for COVID. Well, this was at the height of it. So, they were taking all their precautions. So I was hospitalized. I was sealed off from everybody, the nurses and doctors never came in to talk to me unless it was specifically to do their rounds, and then they were out. It was, and I had never been to the hospital. I'm 2 hours away from my family, from anybody I know. I'm in this hospital. So all I had time to do was just sit there and think. And, I talk about how even at my weight, I was able to live independently and take care of all of my needs, including hygiene needs, wipe myself after using the restroom, for instance. And let's just get that out of the way. I know everybody's questioning, oh my God, could you wipe his own ass that way? Yes, I could.
That wasn't on my list, but
was not on my
list.
list.
It's on somebody's list of questions for sure.
Because when somebody can't, they show the dude who has the cane and put the toilet paper on the end of the cane. And I'm like, do you rip your asshole apart every time you wipe? Because that's gotta.
Well, I was so big because aside from being overweight, I'm a man that was born with hips and thighs. So I got a big ass, big thighs, big hips. And that works good for finding the men, by the way. But
well, we're getting to that later.
Oh, I can't wait.
And so I was too big to even use one of those, what they call them bathroom aids. I was too big to use one. I just could not reach myself with that. So I had my home set up with bidets and attachments in my shower that I could clean myself with. But I could only be independent in my home.
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense. Because you had it all.
Right, I had it all there. I couldn't go on trips. I couldn't go on vacations. When I worked in an office, I would literally hold myself from using any sort of the restroom I worked in bookkeeping and accounting for the 10 to 12 hours that I was there. Yeah. And near the end of my working life, and I know I hope this isn't going into too much detail, but hey, took a shower on national.
No, it's okay.
You know, where do you go from there?
Right. My very last office job, I got to the point where I couldn't hold it anymore. So I would use the restroom and not be able to clean myself, and then just have to sit in that filth in myself all day in my private office.
Oh.
And so I would carry bottles of Febreze, like Febreze air freshener with me, and I would spray it everywhere. I bought disposable pet pads, and I would put them on my office chair, and I would line my pants with them, so they, nothing got hurt. And I would do my job. I would do my work because I didn't come from money. I have to work.
Yeah.
And I did what I had to do to get by.
I appreciate your transparency and openness and talking about it, because there is going to be somebody listening to the show that is going through that for sure.
Right.
And you bringing that up
100%
is
right. And so this going full circle back to the hospital. So when I was in the hospital, I didn't have my things to take care of myself. So I had to rely on the nurses' aides to do things for me. And that was so humiliating and degrading. And it also forces you to stop being in denial, because now, I could deny. It's real. I could procrastinate and push it to the back of my mind because I could still do it myself at home. But now I can't do it. Now I have to ask for help.
Yeah.
And so I vowed to myself when I was in that hospital bed that I would not ever have to, unless it was an emergency, unforeseen circumstance, through no fault of my own. I would never allow that to happen to me again. And so that was the day. And I remember it clearly. It was July 11th of 2021 that I vowed that I would make some changes and that I would not live like that. And so I started going online, reading books, watching listening to podcasts, watching videos on loving yourself, self-actualizing and loving yourself.
Okay.
And the biggest one that helped me the most, and this might tie back into the very first question, the biggest one that helped me the most, and I think it came from Oprah, I could be wrong, was because Oprah's a goddess, right? But
she is. Absolutely.
Facts.
was I would stand naked, completely naked, in front of a full-length mirror every day, and I would look at myself for 1 minute every day, completely naked, and just look at myself. Not think about anything, not distract myself, because at that size, and this might be another question, and if it is, I'm sorry, I'm touching on it, but at that size, a lot of people say, how did you get to that size and not realize it? Well, you realize it, you know it, but you're delusional.
Right.
You delude yourself. And so you get to the point where you can look in a mirror, like when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, you can look in a mirror and you just look at your teeth. You don't look at your body. You don't look at yourself. At least I don't want to speak for it, at least for me, right? And so forcing myself for just 1 minute a day to stand in front of that mirror and look at my body, look at myself, and know and then tell yourself, this is not healthy, but this is you, and you have to love yourself. You can work on yourself. And in fact, working on yourself is showing yourself that you love yourself. You have to love yourself, you have to love yourself enough to know that you need to get help. You need to fix it. And so doing that and just determination and sheer will got me mentally to a place where I was ready to go forward.
And you said the hospitalization, that was like July 2021. Are you allowed to tell us, and you did all that, which is fantastic. I took some notes because my postpartum journey / mom bod, it needs some I need to focus on myself as well. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. But when did you film between the time that all this happened and the filming of the show, or how did that even come about? If you can't talk about it, I totally get it.
When you contacted the show and then you got cast and started filming, or can you, that timeline?
I am not, and maybe I should have asked this before I went on the show with you guys. I'm not sure if I can tell about the casting process.
Sure, it's fine. No worries.
No worries.
But I can say that I filmed in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Good enough for me. So you contacted the show and then you went through this journey that we see you go on the show. And of course they obviously can't show everything, it's several months in between appointments. And so what we see on the show is you guys go to the first appointment, you get your initial weigh in, you talk, and then you go in for your second weigh in and you hadn't lost much weight at all. And I think there was a collective, oh no. And, but then you started opening up with Dr. Now and you started telling him, well,
the realest of the real that I've ever seen on the show. Yeah.
And one of our squares in bingo is, I don't know what happened. I've been following the diet, because they always say that when you've seen them eating, fried chicken and all these things. You just came out with it and said, I'm just not following your diet enough. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing the work. Can you talk a little bit about what was sort of happening with you at that moment? You've got such insight about where you've been in your journey. I would love to hear what else was going on that you suddenly were like, I'm just going to be honest with him. Because up to that point, you're like, oh, I've been doing the work. I've been trying to,
and there was saying all the things. Switch. Like there was a switch that happened, because then it was like game time.
Actually, I'm not. You were saying the right things on camera, and then suddenly you're like, you know what? No. So like, can talk me through what happened there.
Dr. Now is like your dad or your parent that they don't say I'm mad at you.
You're disappointed.
I'm disappointed in you.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Which is worse.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in you. And so I was sitting there and I was hearing what he was saying. But I was also thinking in my head, this is enough. This is stupid. Here you are broadcasting your naked ass on all the national television. And you're sitting in this chair and you're making a fool of yourself. And you're not a fool. And so I just copped up to it. Why belabor it? I was eating
Yeah.
I was eating Twinkies. I was eating cookies. I was having sodas.
Did you say sodies?
You did say sodies.
Yeah. Let me stop real quick about that. Oh, I was a theater major, like I said, right? And so I had a very Southern, very, very thick Southern accent. I don't think I do anymore, thankfully.
Not really, no.
I would have never known that you were from Texas if I didn't know.
I had a very, 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 and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people having a Southern accent.
Right.
Just for somebody that wanted to pursue the entertainment business.
Correct.
That can be a very, barrier to your success.
My husband is in broadcasting, radio broadcasting, and he had a very Southern accent. I've seen videos and it's really strong. Yeah, you've met him, Lexi. You would not guess it in broadcasting school.
Yeah.
And it was like taught out of him.
Yes, exactly. Speech. I was doing a play called The Crucible. And,
I did that in high school.
Yeah. Okay. No, it wasn't The Crucible. I'm so sorry. It was Night Must Fall. I was doing a play called Night Must Fall.
Okay.
And the director stopped me and he said, "Oh my God, Wes, he started laughing. I don't know how to tell you this. You're clearly doing a British accent," because it was set in the English countryside. I can tell it's a British accent, but I can also tell you're from a small town in South Texas. So he said, we need to work on that. And so I was sent to speech classes and elocution lessons.
Yes.
And was trained out of me.
Right.
That being said, I will, if I'm around other people with a heavy accent, my family, other just people in the, in the neighborhood, it will come back very quickly, and I can hear myself. And then I have to stop it and then make a pointed effort not to do that. And so I wasn't paying attention to how I was speaking when I was saying it, when I said sodies, and it.
I thought it was like a little ode to, 1,000-pound sisters.
Tammy and Amy.
Right.
I don't know if I should be offended that Kaya kept calling me Tammy today.
She did. My daughter, I don't want to say poison, but my daughter loves 1,000-pound sisters. So she's like, Tammy, Amy, Tammy.
So we put it on for her.
So she called Katrina Tammy. And then I said, what does a cow say? She says, moo. What does a pig say? Oink. And then she's going through the animal sounds. It's like, what does mama say? She goes, moo. I was like, about me. I'm like, oh,
I have it on video. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
That child.
Okay. Calling her Tammy, me, moo. Okay.
I'm like,
whatever.
Okay. All right, Miss Kaya. Okay.
Yeah.
Children are honest.
They are though.
Yes, they are.
They are brutally honest.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, okay. So you decided to just finally just be real with Dr. Now. Were you getting real with yourself? Now, I as an alcoholic who's 7+ years in recovery, I remember the moment I surrendered and just like felt safe and decided to just be honest. I remember those moments at the beginning of my sobriety journey. Is that when that happened for you as well, or what was going on with, like, were you telling him that, or had you already made the leap in your head?
So, we talk about delusion a lot, right? At that way you can delude yourself. And I was still under a lot of delusion. I was deluding myself a lot. And so when I say on camera, oh, I'm doing the work, prior to the meeting, at that time, I believed I was.
Okay.
That wasn't being deceptive in saying that.
Okay.
That, hindsight now, it was. But subconsciously, it probably was. But I was not. I had made myself believe.
You thought you were doing the work at the time.
The work. Right.
Yep.
And so, and then you think to yourself, I'll just have half a cookie. And you have half that cookie. And then 10 minutes later, you think, well, I could have a little more. And so you have a little more. Well, by the end of the day, you've had 12 cookies.
Right.
And so stepping on that scale and seeing that I had only lost what I had only lost, I think 10 points at that time. It's one of those moments again. It's I would liken it to, like, say you're standing at the back of a room and somebody is at the doorway and they're talking, and you can see that they're talking, but you can't hear them. And then you stand on that scale and you see that number and it hits you. And so it's like you now go from the back of that room to being right in that person's face. And it's just right there, and that's all you can see. And it jars, jarring.
The magic moment walking down to room 5, the infamous room 5. That's where the magic happened. That was the God shot, as we would say.
Yeah, it was like standing on that scale, seeing that number, and then the walk from that scale to that office, it just starts sinking in, and you start thinking, and I had just had enough of the delusion and the lies. I was just over it. I was done with it. And so I just copped up to it. And
well, it seemed to work. It seemed to be genuine, because between that and your next meeting, like, you lost 100 pounds.
Yeah. How good did that feel to have Dr. Now look at you and say how, good job, or whatever he said? I can't remember, but
I'm proud of you for that.
He smiled. I saw a smile. He smiled at you.
That man knows what he's doing, And so when he's talking to you and he's I don't want to say berating, but he is being truthful with you.
Holding you accountable. And
when he's holding you accountable, I again, I can't speak for him, but I can just say that my impression is that every word he says is deliberate.
Mm.
He says it to make an impact. And so if you allow it to make an impact on you and you do what you need to do and you make him happy, then he's proud that you made him happy.
Mm.
He may not tell you he's proud that you made him happy, but his body will tell you. His body language will.
You can tell the difference in that. And so how'd that make you feel? I mean, I'm sure we couldn't convey it. It couldn't be conveyed on camera, but at this point, you knew you were actually doing the work at this point, right? Because, you had that moment. Clearly you were doing the work. So you knew you were doing the work, but there's still probably like a wonder, like, is it going to show? Like, should I have tried to take an extra shit this morning and get that last pound, And then you see that number come up. How to make you feel seeing that?
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
So, that old saying where they say, if you tell a lie, you have to continuously remember that lie and keep and think about it. So when someone asks you something, you have to think about what you said previously and then hope that it up to it. But when you tell the truth,
you only have to remember one story.
You only have to remember one story, right?
Yep.
And so,
we talk about that often in my circles.
Yeah. And so seeing those results, it was just like relief, because it's like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. I don't have to wonder what I did wrong. I don't have to maybe try to come up with an excuse, I only have to remember one story.
Oh.
And so it's a great feeling.
Amazing. So much more to get to, just taking a quick break. And then we'll be right back.
You know that watch that stopped telling time, or that ring that doesn't quite fit anymore? Or how about that clasp that has broken off of your favorite necklace? It's time to fix that with Quick Jewelry Repairs. They're an easy and safe mail-in repair service with jewelers and watchmakers that have over 40 years of experience. And with a 30-day guarantee and transparent upfront pricing, it's easy to see why they're trusted by thousands across the country. To place your order today, visit quickjewelryrepairs.com and use the promo code PODCAST for 15% off of your order. So let's talk about how it works. Quick Jewelry Repairs is a mail-in repair service trusted by thousands all across the country. Your jewelry and watches are in safe hands while in transit and on premises with available shipping insurance for every package and insured by Lloyd's of London. Our jewelers and watchmakers have over 40 years of industry experience with transparent and upfront pricing. There is no haggling and prices are very clear. Our services are guaranteed. We stand behind our craftsmanship with a 30-day guarantee. There's easy online ordering with customer support on standby. You can browse our menu of repair services, and our team is available to answer any questions about your next jewelry project. To place your order today, visit quickjewelryrepairs.com and use the promo code PODCAST for 15% off of your order.
92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
All because of a fancy bike?
Not just bikes. We also make a rower.
Have you ever tried to row? Too hard.
Not with Form Assist. It actually teaches you how to row. So it doesn't matter if you're a first-time rower or a seasoned pro. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try the Peloton Row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Did you know that 30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair? If you're among them, know that you're not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver results. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair. It's more than common. It's actually normal, but it's not openly talked about, especially among us women. Going through it can feel lonely and frustrating, but it's time to change that conversation and join the thousands of women who are already standing up for their strands with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through a whole body health. Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women through all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. Over 3,000 top doctors and stylists have recommended Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code FRAUD to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FRAUD. And we're back. So you just had this moment, you lost your 100 pounds, he approved you for surgery. I want to say in record time, but it wasn't. It was actually like 4 or 5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But on the show, often that's record time because they come back time and time again. Sometimes they never get approved. Mm-hmm. You get approved for your surgery. Holy shit, you go in for your surgery. Mm-hmm. Take me through what you were feeling. Okay, you got this new tool, but as you've learned, that's just one tool in your toolbox and stuff. So you wake up, you're this transformed person, so to speak. Take me through what you were thinking about this next step of your journey.
I had never had surgery before. Mm-hmm. I had never been put on anesthesia before. And you hear so many horrible things happen, to people. They die, that was the biggest thing. They die. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I've done all this work. I've come all this way. And now I'm going to die on the operating table because that's my anxiety, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Anxiety. I have anxiety. And so that just happens, And so my mind went there immediately. You're approved for surgery. Oh my God, I'm going to die on the operating table. It went straight to there, right? Doom and gloom. So that was
straight there.
Yeah, it was like no happiness, no. Oh my God, are you approved? I'm approved. I'm gonna die in June. Do
not fast go. Go straight to doom and gloom.
Yeah, I was born in June. I'm gonna die in June. Okay. And so that was the initial reaction. And then also I tend to be. When something big or momentous happens in my life, in that moment, I tend to, and everything is rooted from your childhood, right? Mm-hmm. So my childhood had trauma. And so the way to survive that trauma was just to go inward, insulate myself, close myself off and not feel anything. Mm-hmm. And so that is just what I do when something happens, good or bad, momentous. Right. I go in, I shut myself off.
Yep.
And I don't feel anything, And so that was essentially what happened. Over the next few days, it started to sink in and I came out and I got excited and happy and, was ready to do it. Yeah. And by the day of the surgery morning, I had to be there at 5 a.m. or something. And I lived 2 hours from there. So I had to, I would have to leave my house at 3. And so, I'm a big guy. It takes me 45 minutes to shower and get dressed. So that means I have to be up at 2. So I just didn't go to bed.
Yeah. You'll be knocked out the next morning. Yeah.
You're going to get some sleep during surgery.
Yeah.
Well, completely off topic, but we digress as our podcast,
because we're ADD.
Yeah. Speaking of showering, a lot of people were they're like, yes, he's living like a king, the fan on him, clothes off, walking
Yes,
around
I
naked.
thought-
I love those
Oh
comments.
my God. Eating
was like,
breakfast tacos naked with a fan
I was
on
like,
you. I'm like,
goals.
I've done that.
Well,
Yeah.
but again, they liked your transparency in saying like, okay, well, this is how I dry off. Like this is and I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome because he's just keeping it real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I read in those comments, a lot of people were like, that's really smart to use a fan to dry yourself off. Well,
Apparently you're the smartest cast member to be on My 600 Pound Life.
Well, that seems to be the consensus so far.
Yeah.
And this last hour and a half or so of talking to you, I think I dare say yes. I mean,
thank you. Thank you.
No, you've been fascinating to talk to. There's so much more I want to cover, not just like what we saw in the show, but like, you've got this great insight into you, so into your own, the self insight that,
Awareness. Yeah.
awareness. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry. MS brain. I have MS. So, so that's my excuse for everything.
Hey, actually, I have COVID brain, so
Yeah,
that's when I
same.
get some, like at
And
work,
I have mom brain, so we're all
There
just
you go.
we're living in the.
yeah, like at work when they're like, I've already given you that information. I'm like, oh, I have bad short-term memory from COVID. Can you give it to me? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem.
So anything mention COVID.
Yeah.
So we saw on the show you get down to, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but by a significant amount. Now, can you tell us what your goal weight was on the show? Like, and where we saw you get down to, and if you can, tell us where you're at now.
So I can't give any specific numbers.
Okay. About where you're at now.
Where I'm at now,
Okay.
I'll let you draw conclusions as to why, right?
Wink, wink, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I have lost since the show. Now, I'm not going to lie. There was a little bit, there was a time between the surgery and having lost a lot of weight that I eased up, as we all do. And I did gain a little bit of weight back.
Okay.
So that's why if you happen to go on my social media, you'll see they're like, oh, that number doesn't match the show number, whatever, I did gain weight back, but I've lost back.
You've lost again, and you've continued to lose since.
And
So you're continuing to work towards
Yeah.
that. Are you able to talk about your lymphedema, whether that's been removed? I mean, I guess
That was on my notes. I was like, I gotta know about.
Got to know. Did he get his lymphedema removed, or he can't talk about that
No.
because there may be a follow-up episode?
No, it has not been removed. I still have it.
Okay.
It's still there. I call her Betty. Betty is still there.
Betty.
Betty
seems so nice and innocent. Like Betty.
Yeah.
No, Betty's a problem. I feel like Betty's a problem child.
Yes. Betty is that silent assassin. She's like, she's not there. You forget she's there. And then you go to sit down and you sit on here like, oh my God, Betty's there. Yeah.
So how hard is it for you to exercise and do tasks with Betty still there?
It has gotten progressively easier. Just because of the weight, I've lost inches on my hips. So there's more room for Betty to swing, right?
Okay.
Right.
And, and also as you lose weight, when you lose that much of a significant amount of weight, you're going to have sagging skin, right? And so the skin sags, so she hangs a little lower. And because of that, she's not where she was. So she is not in my way when I walk.
Okay.
Okay.
But she's still there, right? And it's kind of like an old man that Joan Rivers had this joke, right, where she takes off her panties and her vagina falls on the floor.
That's like me when I take my bra off now. I totally get it.
For real.
Down.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's like the mental image I could give is like my balls hit the floor because Betty's there on the ground, right?
Yeah.
But she's still there.
Well, that balls might be a good segue to my next question. Let's go into, have you been dating since the show? Are people other than straight white cis women sliding into your DMs, meaning other than Lexi? Can you tell us about your dating life now? What's going on? Do we need to start like Who Wants to Date Wes website?
Right. I haven't had many men hit on me since the weight loss or since the show. There have been some compliments, you know, but there has not been any serious contenders, you know. I will say, and this goes back into the fetish community, and
But you say back into that we haven't talked about it's really on the air. We talked about it offline a little bit, but yes, if you want to go into that, that would be you know, we're fine with that too. It's your comfort level,
right? So, and I think you said her name was Heather, right?
Whose name?
Hanakawa.
Hannah, right?
Oh, me,
Hanakawa.
H, right? H.
Call me H. Call me H.
Yeah.
It's Japanese.
H. Okay, so maybe this will make sense to her. There is something called the chub chase community, right?
Oh yeah,
chub chaser community, and so gay men, you know, there's always that stereotype of gay men are ripped and pretty, and you know they model looking, right? And so when you are anything but that, when you're overweight, you know, 10 pounds to a straight man is 50 pounds to a gay man, right?
Okay.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. And
gay weight math. Did not know.
Yeah,
Today I learned.
There's a conversion factor in the calculations.
Right. And so very clearly there were no men that did not fetishize my size that were interested in me for years. I'm talking, I would say I've been in the chub realm, God, probably since I was 18, and I'm 37 now, right? And so I didn't want to be lonely. You know, I have the same desires that everybody else has. You know, I have the same wants and needs. And so I went where the people that would appreciate me were at.
That makes absolute sense.
Yes. And so
how did it make you feel though? Because I know some people enjoy the attention and some feel a little bit objectified by it. What was your take on it being the target?
Both. I felt appreciative of it. Makes you feel beautiful. When somebody tells you you're sexy, you know, that makes you feel good, right? But when you get to the point where you have, you know, some of the guys in that community, good, upstanding, kind, great people, they didn't fetishize it. They just enjoyed their physical preference was a larger man. You know, and so that's good. A lot of men in that community, they like guys of any size, right? They like them small, they like them big, they like them tall, they like them short. They just like men. There are those though that take it that extra step further and fetish and make it a fetish. And so they're the ones that are like, oh God, I want you to be immobile. I want to take care of you all day. I want to like physically take care of you, not financially, which is, we're going to get into that topic. Hopefully. Right. They're like, you know, I want you to eat so much that you have to lay in bed all day and you can't get up. I want you to get to 1,000 pounds.
Well, that was going to be my question, the difference between chub chasers and feeders, because excuse my ignorance on that whole situation, but I've heard of like feeders that want to continue, which is what it sounds like you're talking about. Right.
Well, they're part and parcel. So there's a lot of overlap. And so those guys are the ones that would really turn me off. I'm not going to lie. There would be sometimes, typically if the guy was really, really hot, because on a side note, you would be surprised at what some of these chub chasers look like. Because you think, and like fetish guys think like, you would think, oh my God, that's probably some like mouth breather that lives in his mom's basement, you know.
No, it's like a ripped gym guy who has like an 8-pack and a Giga Chad.
Yeah.
And like,
yes.
Press you.
Yes. And like, and I mean, and they're just in my dating life alone, you know, I have dated politicians. I have dated high-ranking and other country politicians. Secretly, they're not going to say anything about that, and I don't want to die.
We're not going to make any accusations on the air.
No speculation here.
I have dated men from that were in the Republican Party that were that worked in the Senate. They weren't senators, but they worked in the Senate, high-ranking in that party. I have dated men that the craziest one to me were like there was this one guy I dated that was a doctor, a very well-known doctor in this area.
It wasn't Dr. Now, was it?
I know.
No, not my type.
Very
He's a
fitting
nice
for the
man, but he's
job
not my
career
type.
choice. No. I'm gonna help you and then destroy you.
and you know, and that goes back to, I would always be told, oh my, you know, they would tell me, I really am into you because not only are you big, but you've got a good looking face, you carry it well, you're confident. I get told I'm well spoken all the time. I guess
I was just going to say, you're smart and well spoken,
Right.
articulate,
and,
you know.
and have a conversation, engaging, you know, so, you know, they really liked that. And so I would get quite a good following there. And there were, let's just say that I was well known in that community, right?
Okay.
And so, you know, I did that for many, many years, but I would come across the guys that fetishize it, right? And they would be, I think the worst one for me was when this guy asked me if he could put an apple in my mouth, stand behind me, slap my ass, and call me his suckling pig.
Oh,
No.
he wanted the lechon roast. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh,
And,
no.
yeah. And then he wanted to do a spit roast. You know, spit roast me and two other guys. He wanted to spit roast me.
Wait.
Oh,
I
like
didn't know
a
that
sexual
one.
spit roast. Yeah, that's
I
one
didn't
of the
know that one.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Sexual
Make you
spit roast.
guys a dictionary. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel so
Are you
vanilla.
our own
I am
personal
so
Urban
vanilla.
I know. I thought I knew stuff, but I didn't know
I
that.
did too. I thought I
Wait.
was kinky. And
I thought it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. So
Yeah.
So a spit roast is
Spit roast is one in the ass and one in the mouth.
okay. Got it. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And someone
All right.
in the
I mean, I
So
watch
one-
porn, so
right. Yeah. So
I feel
he
like I
wanted-
should have come across
Yeah.
it at some point.
Right. And so he wanted to be he wanted to do a spit roast scenario where I was in the middle, and he wanted to be in behind me and slap my ass and say, "Suey, piggy, piggy, piggy." And I'm not into that. That's not me. If that's your thing, honey, you do you. That's your
Right.
kink. Get on with it. But I'm not doing it, you know. But at some point, I don't want to speak for the entire community. I'll just speak for myself. And so there were some points where I would be so desperate for human contact, because you have to remember, as I said on the show, I ate intentionally, subconsciously, I would eat to make myself bigger so that people couldn't hurt me. People wouldn't want me. I wouldn't be desirable, so they couldn't hurt me, right?
Right.
And I would 100% the truth. But again, Gemini brain, Gemini mind, there's that other side of me that wants companionship, that wanted, you know, to be loved, had sexual desires, had those needs that needed to be fulfilled. And so
I used it as a form of validation.
right, yeah. And so, you know, I would isolate myself. And I mean, there was like a 2-year period where I didn't get touched, right? I went 2 years without a kiss, without a hug, without nothing, you know? And you would allow people to do things and say that I would allow people to do things and say things to me that I wasn't comfortable with, only because I wanted to have the contact.
100% understand that.
And so I love the Chub Chaser community. Those people, a vast majority of them in the gay community, were there for me when I needed them. They were supportive and they were kind, and they made me feel great. They made me feel like desirable, like I was a human, right? I was something to be desired. But I have to be very careful, because I don't think I'll ever get away from them completely, just because there's a lot of great people there. But I have had to and will have to continue to be very careful that I don't allow one of the people that don't see me as a human, they see me as a mass of fat. I can't have them in my life, you know, because I can't do it. And again, I'm not kinking them if that's their shame. I mean, if that's their kink.
You're not shaming them, right? Yeah.
If that's their kink. If that's what they like and they find somebody that wants to do that, as long as that person is not hurt, you know, and they are mentally able to give that consent, then do it, honey. Do you. Be happy. If that's what you like, then do it. But I can't do that.
And as you lose the weight and continue to get to, you know, your goal weight, obviously it's going to shift. You know, the chub chasers maybe are going to be attracted to you, right? Or
there's a subsect of that. There's a subsect of that community that is all about the jiggliness of your body. And so there is I wouldn't say significant portion, but there is a portion of that community that are turned on by guys that have had the surgery and are in transition of losing it, because, you know, when you get to be that size, for me at least, I was big, but my fat was jiggly, but it wasn't as jiggly as it could be. It was hard. A lot of it was firm.
Okay.
And, right. And, for lack of a better term, you know.
No, I think it fits in perfectly here.
Yeah. And so as I lose weight, you know, it softens and it becomes blubbery, jiggly, right? And so there are men that like that in that community. And so
I'm learning so much.
I know.
Today,
It's fascinating. Who says the Learning Channel isn't learning?
Yeah, we're getting the info here.
Getting the education.
Right.
So who are you looking for? What type of man?
Yeah, that was going to be my next.
You know, this sounds so cliche to say. Physically, if it was just to have a hookup and physically just have sex, you know, we're going to talk about because in the gay world, you have sex with the person you love, and then you have a hookup, and you can have those separately and it not be an issue, right? So
is that polyamory?
No.
Okay, that's a whole separate. Okay,
yeah.
Polyamory is like on TLC. It's like sister wives,
right?
It's akin to that, with, you know, one person or multiple people in one relationship together.
Oh, that's polygamy,
right? Right, yes. And I was going to say, but it's kind of like that, but where polygamy is like several people are dating one person. Polyamory is every person is in a relationship with everyone in them. Right,
that was my understanding. So what you're talking about with the person you love, and then you also have a hookup.
It's like an open relationship.
Yeah. Open relationship. Okay. Because
not so
everybody's
much,
consenting.
if his long-term partner was somehow in a relationship with the hookup too, then
it would be
a different dynamic. Yeah. But if it's just like consensual non-monogamy, then I told you there's so many flavors.
Right. We've talked about this. Like we're trying to get educated on it as when we're getting more and more. We're actually getting more and more.
Yeah. And so if it was just purely to have fun, physically, I like a not a overweight man like my size, but I like a thick man.
Okay.
You know, me too.
I like, you know, right. I always kind of say like they look like somebody that was like a bodybuilder, but then they let themselves go. So like they still have like the thick muscular arms and thick muscular legs, and their chest is hard, but maybe it's a little bigger. And, you know, their stomach, they have a little bit of a gut, but, you know, it's still there. Kind of looks kind of like a, you know, I don't know if you ever see, like, if you look at a baseball player, they tend to.
I love baseball.
Right. So they tend to have like really big arms, really big thighs, just an average waist. You know, that's what I like.
Did you guys see Jason Momoa when he was out of shape? Because that was hot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I was like, you can be out of shape, Aquaman. I don't care.
Out of shape, Jason Momoa.
I say that, you know, out of shape, like very loosely, because let's be honest, he's still good, but
Yeah, and this, and people may not know who this is. The younger kids, because I can see younger kids. I'm 37, right? The younger kids may not know, but like Jose Canseco. Do y'all know who Jose Canseco is? Yes.
I grew up in San Francisco in the 80s. So I'm a Giants fan, but that was the Jose Canseco years. So yes.
So you know how he looked, he was like, especially when he stopped playing baseball, he kind of got, he was not as in great a shape as he was, but he was still in good.
when you let the muscle relax, because
yes, exactly.
Cuban cannon to the, I don't know, but
right. When the muscle goes from firm to jiggly.
Yeah, there you go. You never know who's going to be listening.
What about height? How tall are you, and does height on them matter?
I'm 5'11". I'm 5'11". On a good day, 5'11", 5'11" and 5'11". I'm like, God,
gotta get every inch you can.
I'm like, God damn it, God, you made me 5'11". You couldn't make me 6 foot. Like, you couldn't give me that
so close.
Fucking inch, No.
He gave you the inches elsewhere, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, I'm 6 foot across, but not 6 foot top and bottom.
I love it.
Right, and literally my waist was 79 inches.
Wow.
Yeah. My waist was 79 inches. And a few days ago, I posted on, maybe a few weeks ago, I don't know if y'all saw, but I posted on Facebook. I just tried on a pair of pants that I haven't worn in many, many years. And they're 5 sizes too big. And I was, since I was a 79, I was in middle sizes, like in men's, you have like 76, 78, 80, right? I was in the middle. So like 5 sizes too small minus an inch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And actually I think I've gone down 2 more sizes since then.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know that I know that I have gone from shirts, I've gone from a 9X to a 5X.
Okay.
And I like my shirts to be a little tight, so I could possibly go down to a 4X if I needed to.
Okay. All right.
And the pants, I know they've gone from a 79 to at least a 65.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
So at your biggest, where did you buy your clothes at your biggest? Where did you find?
So there was a website called King Size Direct. I don't know if they still are, but at that time, they were the male counterpart to Lane Bryant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so they had pants that went all the way up. I think their jeans went all the way up to 80 inches. I mean, I was, after them, there's nowhere else to buy. So I was at the top of the last in, right?
Wow.
And so that's where I would buy my jeans. I like fashion. I love fashion. I'm into fashion. I love
your glasses, by the way. If people listening can't see this right now, his glasses are so cool.
Check out the YouTube that we'll put up. So.
Yes.
And so they're just, there wasn't anything cute there, so I got into wearing, like, I would wear as dark washed denim jeans as possible, but for some reason they think that guys that are that big, they're not going to be into fashion, so they give them, like, at that time it was like dark washed jeans were in, so you had options of like that denim that looked like it was from the 80s, like it wasn't acid washed. It wasn't acid washed, but
like blue with the yellow stitching.
Yeah, like that was not good. And so I would buy as dark a wash of those as possible. And then I would buy black V-neck t-shirts because I like a V-neck. I don't like anything constricting me. And so I would buy black V-neck t-shirts. And that was what I wore every day. A black V-neck t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. I looked like the fat version of Michael Gervais. What's his name? Michael Gervais?
Michael Gervais.
Not Michael Gervais. What's his name? He's that comedian. He did The Office. What's his name?
Oh,
I didn't watch The Office.
He did the UK version of The Office.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Oh my God. Yes, I know the lead guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Comedian.
Yes,
That's killing me.
Yeah.
You're gonna look it up.
Or even like Michael Kors. Michael Kors, if you know anything about him, he always wears a black shirt and dark wash jeans, and he says he does that because he doesn't think about fashion otherwise. Anyway,
it's Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais.
Sorry, yeah. I knew Gervais was in there somewhere. So I I liked the look of a black t-shirt with a v-neck and blue jeans. And so luckily I could buy that from them. And that's what I would buy. But I have to tell you, size for bigger people, clothes for bigger sizes are not cheap.
Mm.
You know, they are not cheap. Those pants would easily I could easily spend on one pair of jeans $100.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not even for like designer, like
no.
high
And
quality.
they're not even hemmed.
Oh God.
You have to hem them yourself?
You have to have them hemmed because when your body is this size, it's out of shape, right? It's literally out of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
And so normal hem side inseams wouldn't work for you. Mm-hmm. So they sell them to you unhemmed, and then you can buy them from them hemmed. But you have to order them a certain size, and that's an additional charge.
Yeah, that's expensive too.
Wow.
I've never seen to get stuff hemmed.
So the walking around the house naked is also a economic choice.
Yes. But then as I've lost weight, I've been able to go back to there's a chain called DXL, and they used to be they're a conglomerate now, but they were like casual. There was like Casual Male, Rochester, and I think one more, and they all got bought by the same company. And they've rebranded as DXL. They actually have storefront locations that you can go to. And so I have been able to get down to a size where I can actually go into a store and buy clothes now.
That is amazing.
That's awesome.
And you said you're driving now. That's also amazing because you can fit and stuff. What other goals have you yet to accomplish that you're looking forward to?
I would like to travel again.
Okay.
I would like to go. I love road trips and I love to see things. And so that's actually my next goal is I want to be able to lose enough weight to where I can get compression garments.
Mm-hmm.
And I can wear compression garments so that I can sit in my vehicle and go on a road trip.
Well, you're more than welcome to come to the DC area if you're ever deciding to come.
Yeah.
With us.
and actually, and part of that is I also want to get small enough to where I can actually close my seatbelt without an extender.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good goal to have. Yeah, I like that. I like
hearing goals that aren't number based.
Yes.
Right.
Because sometimes the number's not going to tell you what you need to be to get there. So
yeah.
And I'm going to go back to real quick to what my type is. So we talked about.
Oh yeah. We never said got a yes or no on height mattering. So
height, not too much. I mean, I don't want to look like the number 10, right? You know, I don't want the guy to be a 1 and me be a 0, you know? And so it's like, you know, a big guy, I want a man that can physically support this.
You want a man.
Yes. But now if I were to be romantically interested in somebody for like a date, that really is personality based for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that really is. I find effeminate men attractive. I find masculine men attractive. I actually find, and you'll have to help me with this, H, hopefully. The term, because I still get confused by it, if they were assigned female at birth and then transitioned to male, I think that's trans man, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's a trans man. Right.
Very attractive, open to dating them. You know, no problems about that. I think when it comes to a relationship, I'm probably more attracted to masculine energy. And I have to say, I know that I just said I'm attracted to effeminate men. An effeminate man can still have masculine energy, right? They can. When I say masculine energy, I mean assertive, maybe. I'm a sassy person, obviously, you know, and so I need a man sometimes that can rein that in.
Yes.
Does that make sense at all?
Yes.
So you're looking for a more dominant personality. It's okay if they're feminine, but you do like the masculine air about people.
Exactly.
And overall, you want someone who's going to take charge.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so that's what I tend to gravitate towards romantically.
Is it getting too personal if you don't have to answer this, top or bottom, or does it matter?
Before I answer that, I want to say I am an open book. Nothing is too personal.
All right.
I am what they call a side.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know that terminology.
We were learning about it when we covered a season of 90 Day Fiance, where there was their biggest conflict was one was a top, one was a bottom, and he wanted a polyamorous relationship so that they could both be satisfied.
Right. So as a side is someone who, I don't want to speak to everybody. My interpretation and identification of a side is that while I don't necessarily find bottoming pleasurable, I will, if I'm with a partner and they prefer someone to bottom, I will bottom for them. But I personally am more into foreplay, erotic, sensual foreplay, kissing, sucking, biting, nippling, that kind of stuff. That's what my arousal and turn on is.
Okay.
I don't say I'm never going to say in this life that I won't do something. I just have never had the opportunity to talk at this point. If I found somebody that, if I found a verse or a side or a bottom that I was attracted to in any other aspect, that wouldn't be off the table.
Okay. You are very articulate. You're explaining this in ways that I can understand.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our listeners appreciate it as well. And you guys, he's single. Are you ready to mingle? I'm
have to be willing to handle this. So,
that I think that could be said authentically of all of us on the screen right now. Is we're each individually a lot to handle. And so our partners would
Well, that's why I'm alone. I'm an Aries, so I'm
oh man, God help you.
living my own life over here. I do have a question. Is there anything that maybe they didn't cover on the show that got edited out that you want everyone to know either happened or happened differently, or just something that was missed that the viewers didn't get to see?
I don't think that they focused, I hate to keep going back to this, but I don't think that they focused on the sexual abuse enough. They touched on it. It was definitely a prominent part of the show, but I want people to know that you can come out from it. And so I want people, and I wanted people to hear how bad it got. Excuse me. I wanted them to hear how bad it got because I want them to know that even at those depths, you can come back from it. And coming back from it doesn't mean that you get over it. It doesn't mean that you forget about it and not think about it. It just means that you learn how to live your life and still have that within you. And you learn how to live a healthy life and a productive life with still having that as part of you. Because I wear it as a badge of honor. Yeah, I was molested for many, many years as a child. I was molested for almost 5 years. From very, very young age of 4 until I was 9. And 2 years into it, somebody that could have put a stop to it found out and didn't.
So then you're re-traumatized all over again.
And so there was, sometimes people will say, well, because the other person that did it to me, they were not 18, they were a minor, but they were old enough to know better, right? Okay. I was mentally as a child in a position where I could not give consent at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
They say, oh, anybody under the age can't give consent. I would agree, legally I would agree with that, but I would think at 16, this person wasn't 16, but I would think at 16, where you're sticking your dick, or you're knowing if you're allowed.
You said it started at 4, so I mean,
right?
There's no. There's no.
Right, and so and so I wish they would have been a little more broad on that, because I want people to know that even at those perverse levels of depravity, you can come back.
on the
Mhm.
other side. Well, you're welcome to use this platform if you would like to share
Absolutely.
anything additional. I can tell you also, as a child sexual assault survivor myself, having you say these kinds of things, and I think that may be the first time I've admitted that publicly.
I had no idea about that.
Welcome.
Thank you
I'm
for
proud.
You know,
I'm proud of you. I'm proud
I-
of you for taking that.
Thank
ownership.
you. Thank you. It's something I worked on a lot, through my sobriety and therapy and all those things.
Therapy and
But
therapy.
I appreciate the things that you're saying about it. And and I don't think anybody would disagree that it is depraved. You know what I mean? So it's
I mean,
the floor is yours should you
right.
want to use it.
I want to say probably in my mind the worst thing that happened with that for so my parents are divorced, and this individual, I'm trying to be make sure that I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying this without being slanderous, right?
Right.
So that individual knew that there were going to be times during the week that I wasn't there because I was with my mother. And so for the days that they were going to lose
access to you,
access to me, they would make up for it during the week by doing it multiple times in a day. And there were times when I would wake up and things would be happening to me.
Oh, God.
And so that, coupled with, they would have me do things like obviously strip naked and like parade around them, pretending to be a woman, pretending to be their wife, sit on their lap and pretend we had children and yell at the children. And I think the most sadistic one out of all, and everything I'm telling you guys are things that I wish we could have talked about on the show. The most sadistic one was they used to put bowls of chips, popcorn, whatever, on the floor, and then have me walk around on all fours, pretending that I was a cow, and eat out of the bowls as if they were a trough. And then they would get behind me and mount me like they were a bull, and would make me make the sounds of a cow, moo and stuff like that. And so, when I say that it was perverse depravity at the most base level, it was. And I just wish that they would have gone deeper into that, because I want people to know that you can come through that. And I also want to say, and I know I said this on the show and I think they played it, but I also want to say, in order for you to do that to somebody, you just have to have had that happen to you. You don't, in my mind at least, I don't understand how somebody that does that to someone can't be someone that's damaged themselves, right? And so without taking away culpability from that person or excusing what they did, I want them to know that I hope that they have or will get the help that they need, because I know what it's done to me, and I know what it's done to my life. And I would never want that to happen, or I would never want anybody else to go through that. And I am sorry that if they had to go through something like that, I am so sorry from the depths of my soul. I'm sorry that they had to experience that. And I hope that they get help.
That's just such an amazing and inspiring message. And yeah, that message did make it on the show, because I remember hearing that and going,
yeah, part of that did. Yeah.
That's a really good perspective to have on it. And I'm so glad that you're able to share that message, and you're in a place mentally, emotionally, physically, all of these things, that you're able to spread that message, because even if just one person hears it, even if that person's me, and it helps me deal with my childhood trauma,
And I want to interject real quick, and
Sure.
for me to you directly.
Oh, sure.
I want to say thank you for having the bravery to say what you said about your experience. And I want you to know that I understand it, and I know the pain that it causes. And you had nothing to do with that. I'm sure you are now, and you were then, a beautiful person. And you have a light within you that should not be extinguished, and don't ever let that extinguish your light.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm crying. I'm sorry.
I know.
I feel like you're so brave and coming forward and articulate, and even in your response, just selfless, and just how you feel sorry for, the person, the perpetrator. And I wanted to ask you too, I'm sure that they didn't face any legal consequences or whatnot. And how have you been able to move forward in knowing that, I don't want to say they got away with something, but that how do I want to say this? I'm sorry, I'm very emotional right now. But
the fact
for me,
that
they're living their lives,
right,
and maybe not facing the consequences of their actions. And are you able to was that hard to process, that knowing that they were still living their lives?
Like, you're not prosecuting them, or
I'm sorry, does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't get any justice,
Thank you. Yes.
And this person is out there having no consequences for their actions.
Exactly. Thank you.
They destroyed a significant portion of my life.
Mm-hmm.
They caused me immeasurable amounts of pain and sorrow that I could never express. I don't think words could express what they did to me. It was hard for a very long time to know that they got away with that. And this is another cliche. But in order for me to live my life, I have to reclaim my power. And allowing them to have an impact on my life every day, in every little action I do, rooted back to that, giving them that power and giving them that control without my consent, because now we're going to go back to fetish, without giving my consent.
Mm-hmm.
For that to be lost. I had to reclaim that so that I had my truth and my power again. And so for many, many years, I was upset. All I can say now about them is, again, I hope they get the help they need. And if it helps them in any way, I forgive them.
Mm.
I forgive them for what they did to me. I don't forget what they did to me. And
It's not the same thing. Forgiveness is not forgetting.
Right. And I don't want them to think that I am saying what they did was appropriate, because it was not. But I had to forgive them so that I could move on. It's almost like saying, I liken this to when you have, I don't know if you've ever had a boil or an infected hairline, but you know how painful a boil is. But if you don't touch it, that boil doesn't hurt. Right?
Okay.
If you touch it, that boil starts to hurt. But if you just leave it alone and don't get around it, you ignore it, you don't breathe on it, it doesn't hurt. But that boil is also filled with pus and blood and everything that happens in a boil, right? You have to You have to get rid of that boil. And so the only way to get rid of that boil is to pop it, make it hurt, to get rid of the infection. And so you want to get rid of that pain, you want to get rid of that infection in your life, well, you have to go through the pain. You have to clear it out.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's just such a I can't say anything else after that. Like you've left.
I think
me
you need
speechless.
to do. We need to get you on the TED Talk train. Okay.
Yeah.
I expect to hear a TED Talk in the next 6 months or so.
Right.
Yeah. That is such a good. The only way. Yeah. The only way. What is it? The only way through it is. Wait. I don't know. Whatever it is, you have to go through it.
The only way to drain the boil is to The only way to get rid of the boil is to drain the infection. And that's going to hurt like hell.
But you got to do it.
But you got to do it. You got to do it. And you got to do it for the betterment of you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like you are in an amazing place and you are well on your way to inspiring hundreds of millions of people. From what was on the show was amazing. And then hearing you now and whatever other, all the other speaking, engagements that you're going to engage in when you have your podcast come out. What's the name of that again?
It's going to be, hopefully we've agreed upon it, Court of Queers.
Court of Queers.
Court, like COURT, like court.
Right. Like, yeah.
We'll follow you. We'll be listening.
I like it. It's like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, exactly.
Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Right, well, exactly.
Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Yes. That might be another title there.
Dungeons and I love those.
Oh my God. That's the one you two are going to do, right?
Yeah.
Wes and Hanakawa, you two are going to do Dungeons and
I'm
Drag
good for
Queens.
ideas, not for time. I have no capacity.
I know, that's true. That's true.
Right. But that's we all met, my friends and I that are going to do it. We all met through gaming. And
that's nice.
Like and you have an online, when you're gaming, you have a gamer tag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm known as I'm Lord Velveteen. That's my game name.
I love it.
Yeah. And so, you'd asked about my Twitch. My Twitch will probably be under when I get that started, will be under my gaming tag, Lord Velveteen,
Okay.
So
you get it started like ASAP because you want people to click that link as they're following you.
Yeah. This episode. Yeah.
That's my only advice from growing on Twitch and like screwing myself over from not putting it there sooner.
And
there you go.
You put that link on like your Instagram bio? Like, I don't understand.
I do. I'll put arrows and say like links and then do like a link tree or even buy your own domain and do like, you can message me afterwards, but
so you guys can talk offline.
Then they'll click that link and see all of your stuff, and then they'll probably click it all.
Okay, cool.
Because they're nosy.
Yes. So it's been so fantastic to have you on. You are truly inspiring. You inspired all of us. I strongly believe my higher power, who is female because I'm an angry feminist. I believe that she speaks to me through other people, and she certainly brought you into our lives via TLC Dr. Now. Who knew that between that episode that my love for trash TV would bring you onto my screen, giving me inspirational advice about dealing with childhood trauma? Who knew? But there it is, you guys. I'm so grateful that you gave us this time tonight. Is there anything that you want to close with? Anything that you want to say? Last word, as it were.
Love yourself. That's all I'll say. Love yourself.
That is a fantastic one. And thank you guys for all tuning in. And we'll have all of Wes's contact information in the show notes. But if you want to let the people know where they can find you.
Right now, currently, Instagram, my 600-pound life Wess. Facebook, Wess.Schulze. Twitter, Wess.Schulze.
Excellent.
And Twitch, I'm soon Lord.Velveteen.
Excellent. And we'll continue to keep up. You guys can follow him. He'll have all of those updates. We'll continue to follow him and have his updates. If you do another follow-up episode, we'd love to continue to follow you and have you on again. Great, inspiring. Again, thank you so much for all your time tonight.
Thank you. It was such a wonderful time getting to know you. And thank you for being open, honest, and just amazing. Thank you.
Thank y'all for inviting me and having me. And I have to say, it felt like I was just talking to a group of friends, That
makes my heart happy. Thank you again. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, www.thefraudcast.com for any kind of merch like the Lexi's coffee mug or anything else. And all of Wes's links, plus we'll have some other links about child sexual abuse survivors and some other resources and things like that will be on in the show notes as well. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Bye.